starting in a minute. Hi, folks. Thank you all for coming. My name is Bill Williams. I teach text analysis. Many of you are here in my text analysis class. The guests with us today are former longtime teacher at Goodman College, Chuck Smith, now the resident director of Goodman. Directing the current Goodman theater production of Joe Turner's Come and Gone, which started previews last Saturday and will open officially next
Wednesday. This one, 24th.
Oh, a week from tomorrow. Okay, great. With him are two alumni of the college. A.C. Smith, graduated in 1986. And Krystal, I'm sorry, McNeil, who graduated in 2009. And then with them is?
I also graduated from Columbia College with a Master's in Education from the Teacher College. Here.
Oh, I did not know
In
that.
2001.
Okay, and you are now a student in the graduate certificate program.
And
Cristin
also
Carole.
my assistant director is Joe Turner.
Okay. So I'm now going to introduce you to Darlene Jackson, who is with the Career Center. She is the creative industry leader for theater students in the Career Center. And she's also, in another life, a very well-known hip-hop or house music DJ. Sorry, DJ Lady D. But she is today Darlene Jackson, and she's going to interview them. So please welcome Darlene Jackson.
Thank you. I would read your bios, but I think it's more, I guess, personal to just hear in your own words. How would you define yourselves? So I like that a little bit better. What do you think, Sean?
Well, many years ago, I was asked to direct a show here at Columbia College. And it was a ceremony to talk on men. And after the show, Sheldon Ticket, who was in the chair, asked, says, "Hey, would you like to come on and teach here?" I said, "I'm not a teacher." And he said, "Well, at the time, none of us are." So that was the day where, in order to teach here at Columbia College, what you had to do was to have a degree and be working in the field. You had to be working in the field. So that you're telling them what you were teaching the students was from a professional point of view about exactly what's going on in the field that you're teaching. So anyway, I came on board here at Columbia College in the 80s, right before AC graduated, and directed Soldiers Play. That's where I met at IC. And I was here for over 20 years. My office is right across the hall, 413. And this space here was not a theater space, it was a sound stage. It was TV and film department ran this space. Kept saying, "We should get this space. This is a great space. We should get it." Finally, they got it, which is great. But while I was here, I was here for close to 25 years. And I ran I didn't start it. African American Playwriting Contest called the Theater Award Prize for African American Plays. Fantastic.
I did the workshop. All right, do yourself.
This is a book, these are books. All these plays and these books started right here at Columbia College. This is how every season we would have in the contest, it was a national contest. Playwrights, African American playwrights from all over the country would submit their works that had not been produced to here. The faculty would evaluate and come up with a winner, and that winner would be part of the season. So that every season there was this contest for here for 17 years. contest came, some fine writers. Lady Diamond, who's Lewis I, which recently here. They started right here at college. Javon Johnson, Chef Sheila Cool, Chloe Von Cooley, all now professional writers who are out there doing their thing. And these plays, in order to get in the book, the play had to be professionally produced. So all of these plays that's in the book are professionally produced plays. You can get it at the bookstore. I think they still sell them. But anyway, I was here teaching basic acting skills. I wanted to teach basic acting skills, and then later on I taught a class called African American Styles, and that's what I Krystal. And basic skills, I'm going to teach, because I want the grandkids right away and let them know the real deal. This is no fantasy. If you're not willing to work at this thing, it ain't going to happen. And so that was taught basic skills, and then I taught the African American styles. Styles I got with the kids and let them know exactly exactly what's going on, what to get ready. Because it was a singing class. I wanted them to know what's going on, what they had to expect when they get out of here. So they wouldn't be thinking one thing, and all of a sudden it ain't happening. But that, and once upon a time here, we had what we call a soap opera. Remember soap opera?
I don't think so.
Yeah, on Monday nights, kids from the theater department would hike over to the TV department, and we produced a soap opera. And every Monday night that we would film it, and it would go. It was on television, one of the education channels. Already April started that. Remember that? Yeah. And I took over from Arnie April. So those are my responsibilities. Those soap opera kind of faded away. Usually there was great opportunity for the freshman students to get into something, because at the time it was hard for freshmen to get into shows. So they got into the soap opera. They had something to put their name in. But anyway, I was here for close to like 25 years. And I left for Goodman about 2007, 2008, something like that. Yeah. You know, it was some really good times. It was a good time. And now I left here. I got on to the Goodman in 1992. I've been here over 30 years now. And for a while I was at Goodman and here. Then I just went on to the Goodman, where I'm still at the Goodman. Directed plays. That's what I do. Yeah. Teaching and directing. They're always, you know, what you're going to find out, you're going to have 2 kids. You're going to do something else. Because this sometimes ain't happening. You're going to have something else. Always have that something else in your corner. You know, because you got to eat. It's real simple. You got to eat.
So we'll just go down the line, Kristen.
That's a perfect segue.
Yeah.
That's a perfect segue. I would say I'm an interdisciplinary artist. As a dancer, I started dancing very young. And here in Chicago, Elizabeth Boyd South Pasco Valley School is where I got most of my training. But also I have a Black Broadway tradition, early Black Broadway tradition. Came through Sandy Gar School of Theater, which really is an amazing history in Chicago, dance and performance history. I was studying architecture at the University of Illinois in Chicago. When I wouldn't say I got bit by the theater bug, but I was really more interested in stage design than I was in the environment or maybe then in architecture. Ended up finishing an undergraduate really technical field. I got an internship thinking I was going to be a set designer at Goodman, and I once stood next to you in the writing booth when I was an intern. And they put me in props because frankly they were not women in the design department at all. Didn't know internships. And I love props, and I learned a lot doing props. And I worked at the Goodman. It was my first real adult job in my life. And I worked there for about 3.5 years. I did a lot of shows as the properties assistant. It's because you got to learn history and the shows are always changing and everything like that. But at some point, my heart pulled in a different direction. It was towards education. I applied for a program as I Teach for America, I Teach for Chicago, and Columbia College was one of the participating universities. So I ended up getting a master's degree in education. And it was great because I was able to take all of my theater, all of my songs and dances, all of my practice as a teaching artist into what has been a 20-year Chicago public school teaching life. I am done retiring now from that and coming back to the theater. Having always done a show or two as a choreographer, as a movie designer, but now I'm really interested in seeing what I can do towards directing. And as a Black woman, I was obviously interested in intimacy and just telling our story of how we are represented on stage. So I'm back at the Goodman, so I've gone away and come back, and I really went away from Columbia and came back. I taught here for 12 years, but in the School of Education, and most of the students, you're like, oh, I've seen you before. Yeah. I taught here for 12 years, and what I really loved about Columbia was the practice and what I was preaching. I was in public schools teaching, and at night I would come here and share how I really am singing and dancing with my third graders every 20 minutes. It's a very effective practice. So that's kind of the story.
So what about your work?
So yesterday it was announced publicly that I received an award as a new director and choreographer at this sort of level. I joined the SDC, which is an organization for directors and choreographers. And as an emerging director, I was given a $10,000 award to direct a show. And I think what got them interested was its representation of Black history and the story of my great aunt, who I knew personally and directly, and representing, stories that we just don't know. Stories that we absolutely should know, that would be, no matter what color you are, would be inspiring. And so that's my job this summer, to produce that show with the money that I got for being a new director and having a wonderful mentor in the process.
I started doing theater when I was in high school. And then I came to Columbia. I always wanted to go to Columbia. I don't know why, because they had those posters like on the street, like in school I would go to Gallery 37 doing theater there, and I would see like those like posters of like the actors and like the dancers on the side of the building. I was like, I'm gonna go to that school. And I eventually went, and really my class with Chuck really changed the game for me because I always knew like I was an actor, but what was also very important to me was my culture, my heritage, where I came from, and I didn't know if I wanted to be like a African American, like cultural studies with a concentration in Black world studies or theater. And I was like struggling between the two of those things because sometimes in theater you don't always feel like you can bring yourself to the stories. But then I took that magical class with Chuck, and I was like, I learned that I could bring myself to those stories, and that kind of shaped how I moved as an artist. I was always, I consider myself a storyteller, and I bring my entire history, my family, my people with me when I tell these stories. And I also like to tell stories that aren't told, that we don't get to hear, but are universal. And so I, graduated from Columbia. I ended up teaching theater for the South Shore Cultural Center, for the South, the Lakeshore region for the Park District. I was doing a theater program there. Had a daughter. That's why I was teaching, because I had just had a baby, and I was like, I can't be on stage with this baby, so I'm gonna when she gets to be 4, I was like, I'm gonna go back to theater, and I ended up becoming a company member at Rivendell Theater Ensemble, which I love because also womanhood was very important to me. And I've just been, doing theater and telling these stories. But another important thing that Chuck said is you eventually find that you don't just do the acting. I ended up doing acting and like dramaturgy work with which is really great if you can get a home theater company, because then you can dabble in other areas Sometimes I'm working the box office. Sometimes, you know, it's dramaturgy or like being an assistant to the director, writing, devising work. So it's just so great to have like all those things in your bag. And I've just been all around. And I came back to the first show that I got to work with Chuck again was I went to there at the Goodman. I got to understudy there, and understudying at the Goodman is a real cool job. It's like, you don't think it's always going to be the funnest, but it actually, if you get lucky, you get to work with, you know, you're just working with great people and telling really good stories. And so, and I've just been working all over the city and now I'm doing this.
Well, I'm not half as interested as these people here. So I started in '82 here at Columbia, but I started at Central White Community College as an advertising major. And I went to make slogans like "Hope's the real thing," blah blah blah. And in the course of all of that, we had a class called Speech 101. I didn't know what that was, but it was a humanities course where we would do improv. I didn't know what improv was. But the teacher would give you a suggestion. He said, "You're a shoe salesman. Sell this lady some shoes and don't take no for an answer." So I would just jump into it. Man, what size do you wear? And I jumped into it. So every Thursday that class would take place. So the class always wanted me to do something because I was always quick on the draw with it. So at the end of that year, I asked the teacher, "What is this called?" He said, "It's called acting." I said, "Is there a school that just teaches that?" And he said, "Columbia, DePaul, all that." I said, "Okay, Columbia. So I left Central White that year, and I went to Columbia the next year, and I graduated in '86. So that's my career, and I've been acting ever since.
I want to add to something that Krystal said about understated. My very first job, the first time someone gave me money to do theater was as an understudy at the Goodman Theater. And I took that to heart and said, "Hey, one of these days I'm going to work here." And it took me 20 years, but I did start working here. But, you know, don't turn down an understudy job. That's all I'm saying. You know, don't turn down no jobs at first. Get in there, get your name out there, so they know that you're available. They know who you are. Put your face in front of people.
And that's the thing with the chair that Sean Patinkin was the chair of this department when I was here, and he was loan us out to the major theaters that's out there and Billions, you know, crowd actors and all of that. So we knew the acting theaters before we even graduated. So when we graduated, they hired us anyway, so they knew us. So that's the good thing about the school, working professional. And I might want to add that Brian Shaw was in my graduating class. How you doing, Brian? Hey!
We'll talk after.
Yes,
You guys are touching on a few different things. Like you just talked about the power of manifestation. You talked about the power of relationships. And I think, and not turning down like that beginning thing, because sometimes I should break. I want to ask you if you could point to like one time in your career, like what was that breakthrough, that big breakthrough that set you on your road?
mine came right out of Columbia. I was a student here, and there was a theater called Victory Gardens. And Charles Smith was an intern there. He wrote a thing called Jelly Gun. And
It's in the book.
and the lead character was this murderer, this drug dealer murderer, you know. And they wanted me to play it. I'm like, "What? I'm a student." You know, freshman theater. He said, "You can do it," and I did it. And it took me to New York. It took me all over. It was great.
That show that's on Harlem.
Yeah. And I got a Delta Award nomination. That's New York. Jeff, he told me stuff like that. Nominations for that. Yeah, so was here. Straight out of Columbia, that they picked me out here to do that show. And I was still a student. So. Unlike Goodman, like DePaul, their students couldn't act in professional shows as a student. But the show didn't allow us to do it.
And we used to push the students to get out there.
Yeah.
As students, let you know who you are.
I did many professional shows as a student, many.
But of course, the theater community wasn't as large as it is now. And things have changed.
That's
Things have changed. So,
I'm thinking about breaks, and I feel like there have been so many times where I was in the right place at the right time, or someone was there to endorse me. This job right here was, I was like, if we're doing Tony's down, and you must have just come in to see what was going on. I kind of felt like, is she any good? So we said, yeah. Next thing I knew, I was in negotiation with this opportunity. But I also think it's following your heart and community. So at some point, I remember teaching. I was at public school, brand new job, first day on the job. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to be a first grade teacher. Gave up the theater to do education. And my first day on that job, I met Krystal from the Joffrey Ballet. And he said, you're coming with me, the principal's released you, we're going to a training. I've been working with a group of students here. And that set me on a path that ended up being like the community engagement director for the Joffrey Ballet. You know, so what was I doing? I was there available, I was there ready, but I was also, that was my point. Being ready, I would say.
being ready is part of the game. You always have to be ready. Because you never know when the door's going to open, when the call is going to come. There's no formula. That's the name. That's basically what I'm saying. It's all scrambled eggs. Everybody's path is different. Everybody can say, well, this is how I did it. This is how I did it. This is how I did it. But it's not the same. And my path is not going to fit you. Or it might, but chances are it won't. You're going to have to make your own path. Figure it out. But the one thing you got to do is you got to get out there and let people know who you are. No one's coming to you. It's not the way it works.
You know, kind of like piggybacking off of what Chuck said, because there's no formula, I didn't have a big break. I wouldn't say I had like a big break, because this career is not linear. There's no like, I did this thing and now it's up from here. You can be working at the Goodman, you know, one day, and then the next you can't get a job for another 2 years. And so there's no like moment where I was like, I've made it now. I'm just grateful for every opportunity that I have. Like, you just really, I think, have to be grateful for the opportunity you have when you have it, and make the most of that. Show up and be prepared, you know, for the next opportunity whenever that comes. So yeah, because I was like, I can't think of a moment like where. I mean, because there are also so many incredible moments throughout my career, the small ones and, you know, the ones that seem like so much bigger. Like my dad, when I booked this show, my dad was like, and y'all gonna get this a lot, but you know, he was playing with your career. But my dad was like, he was like, finally doing a real play. And I was like, I've been doing this. What? I thought I was doing great work. But it was great to me, and that was all, you know, that mattered. Like, I was doing the thing that I knew I was, you know, meant to do. You know, and yeah, so I think, I can't think of a big break, but just so many really great moments.
And like to piggyback on that, I'm the youngest in my family. So when I said I wanted to act, I had straight A's in high school. They thought I should be the special office, and I said no. So I came to Columbia, and Charles Finnister directed me in a play called My Sister, and in the studio downstairs. And I did that show, and my brother came, who was the main one of my kids. Get a real job, get out of that fantasy world. So he came to the show, and I swear I was on stage, and I was acting. I saw him up there. He said, you do what you want to do, you do it. That was my approval from him, and I knew I was going to do this forever. Yeah. I broke him down. I swear he was like,
I want to go back to this manifestation piece, because you had said to yourself, I'm going
words and it happens. Do you have other manifestation stories? Do you all have manifestation stories where you literally said to yourself, I want to do that thing, and then did that thing?
It was New York for me. I always wanted to go to New York. I had never been on a plane. Jelly Belly took me to New York for the first time. First plane ride, actually. And that was my manifestation. I wanted to do it, and I did it. You know. And the headlines were great. All the papers. I mean, wonderful job there. Yeah. And then I went back again, Broadway, national tour, all of that.
My favorite. It's the most spiritual I could ever sound in my life, I'm sure. It would seem to me that as I've gained relationships and skills and knowledge, but mostly relationships, as I'm stepping forward in what my interests are and what my passions are, it feels like these opportunities are manifesting. But I also see a web of connection and intentionality in the relationship that makes it seem like it's just, wow. It's like, no. 25 years ago, I stood next to you when a Goodman sound booth was an intern of her. You know what I mean? And I didn't know that they would be here now with all these Columbia connections and goosebumps. So, yeah, I think it's about being cognizant and ready and knowing who you are, because that's what you were speaking to, right? It's taking that time to know who you are, what your skills are, what your strengths are, and how to put yourself out now, too.
And even if you're unsure, because like Jelly Belly, I didn't know I could do that role, it was so powerful. But when they told me I could do it and directed me to do it, I found out I could take direction really well. That's another thing, you take direction. You know? Your director, a good director, will guide you through it, and you'll be successful.
I think that the one thing, I feel like I manifested my career in a way, like, I remember it was around, my daughter was around 4 years old and I was teaching at South Shore, and it was a mix between manifestation and then taking a big risk and just trusting what was about to happen. And I had my job, and I realized that I couldn't do theater and teach there at the same time. Like, I was going to have to stop teaching to do a show that was not going to pay me. That was probably like a $700 stipend for 3 months. But I was like, it's my first equity company, and I was like, I think I'll be okay. I was like, I don't know why. I was like, my career, I'm just gonna act from now on. And I was like, I just like put that out there, and I was like, and I think I'm gonna be okay, and I'm gonna trust it. I'm gonna see what happens. And it was like the craziest thing, because I quit my job, and then I couldn't pay my rent, and I had to move into my brother's basement with my daughter, and then I booked that show, and that was the show that got me the exposure so that I could get an agent. And then once I got my agent, then I was able to book work at bigger companies and like do film and TV, which I hadn't even thought of, honestly. And so, and so I made that decision, took that risk, and I haven't had to have a job, like, I ain't had a job outside of theater ever since I made that choice. Usually I'm always getting to that point where I'm like, like I said, you go those long periods without working, and I'm like, it's time to get a job, and then the next thing I know, I get a call, and I was, because I actually, right before I got the call about Joe Turner, I was like, maybe I can do Uber Eats even though I don't know how to drive. And then I got that call, and I like actually signed up for it. I was like, I'm gonna walk, and my brother called me and so I was like, I'm gonna walk and do Uber Eats. I was like, it's gonna be fine. And then I got that call, and I was like, oh thank God. Can't turn that back.
That's great. All of you are talking about the power of connection. How much of this career, I think, is word of mouth? People saying good things about you when you're not working, and then things happen. Like, is it, or how much, you talk about intentionality in meeting people or being in relationship with folks, so that the word just spreads? What is it, all of the things?
Well, one thing, the last thing you want to do is get a bad rep. Which is, if you're out there and you don't agree with something, by all means, if it's harming you in some kind of way, fine, speak up, let people know. But, like AC was saying, being able to take direction, if you don't like a company that you're working with, keep your mouth shut. Just be quiet. You don't have to spread. Oh, they're this, they're that, because it is a very small community. It's one person. You say this, it'll get out there. And next thing you know, well, you know how that person is. You know how that person. You better go somewhere else. So you don't want to get any kind of negative vibes out there. So all I'm saying, choose your words carefully once you get out. Just if you don't like something, just be cool.
Everybody doesn't have to know your opinion.
Just be cool. Don't get a bad reputation, because with a bad reputation, you will not get work.
You can be the best actor out there too.
And I don't care how talented you are.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a good actor, but you don't.
Production is worth them suffering because of you. Really, you know.
So taking on the chin a little bit.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. You'll be all right. You'll be fine.
But you can also be diplomatic, or you can talk to the director and explain your point across to them. And if they feel it, they'll let you do what you're feeling, as opposed to what they're thinking. If you make sense to them, how it can work out, in whatever direction it is.
Diplomacy.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
There it is.
This might sound a little bit snobby, but I'm gonna go back to the hard work, because I have not seen people, there's a level which where people are putting not their best foot forward, but a real classy act, well thought out, discipline. This company has been amazing, and their preparedness and their off-book, right, like, there's that too, right? So I think there is respect and courtesy and a mutual company attitude for sure. But then there's the fact of that outlook works.
And what you learn here at school counts. It
Yes.
counts. Trust me. All the things that you're learning, oh, I don't know why we got to learn this stuff. You'll find out.
You're going to
I
incorporate,
get it.
you use it, you will use it.
You will use it.
And the relationships that you made with Chuck while you were here, has that, do you think it all played together here, like, in this play? What is it
Well, yeah.
that made you choose that?
Yeah, with this play, I've been, for the last, like, about 10 years at the Goodman, I've always brought in a actor or actors from out of town to do certain roles. And then, hey, Chuck, how come you always get me my thing, man? What's going on? How come you always get somebody from out of town? How come you do? I said, okay, all right. Joe Turner, all Chicago. Everybody in the cast is from Chicago. It's somebody I know. Most of the people I've worked with before, because I don't want to have no trouble, not from nobody. Plus, I want to have you some fun. This is supposed to be fun. If you're not having fun doing this stuff, trust me, you got a problem. Because this is not easy work. You know, it's painstakingly difficult dealing with a lot of people all of the time. You know, in a room. So I want to get people in the room together who kind of knew each other, who knew me, and we can have some fun. And I've had more fun doing Joe Turner than I've had in the last 20 years. And it's because, everyone in the room pretty much knows everybody and has worked with them, and everyone has a Chicago connection. We're all from the city. And like AC and Krystal and Anthony, I'm worried about that, I don't know why it's not in there. But we were here at Columbia Council together one time. So it's always something that we can bring up. We can talk about, hey man, but when so and so, yeah, and all that kind of stuff. It's been a wonderful time. I mean, it was one of the few times I was really sad to leave the rehearsal room and go into the theater, because I was having so much fun in the rehearsal. And everyone was right there, all booked when they were supposed to be all booked, doing what they were supposed to do. Everybody was just, it still is a wonderful experience. Now, it's in that crazy part right now where it's tech, trying to get all that stuff together. But it's still fun. And again, if you're not having fun doing this, figure out something else. Because that's the only thing that's going to keep you going at times. Like this was saying, sometimes you're out there, you don't know what's going to happen next. And that's going to happen to all of you. Trust me. And it's that faith in yourself, in your ability, in your training is what's going to keep you going. Okay.
Can we do a little exercise and just take them through a day in the life of a director, an intimacy coordinator, maybe a dramaturg, and an actor? Would you do that for this evening?
A day in a life.
Day in the life.
I'm just an ordinary person. I mean,
When you're acting, when you're in a show, when you have.
oh, that's good. No, I'm very serious actor. I mean, I joke around a lot and I kid a lot and I laugh a lot. But when I'm on stage, yeah, I gotta take it serious and how can you say? It's realism for me and naturalism for me. I kind of.
When I've done dramaturg, and I will also say, you have like that day in the life. I'm a mom too, so that is, I can't separate that from the work that I do. And so usually a day in the life, it always starts with getting this kid ready for school and going and dropping her off and then coming back home. And all right, so then if I'm working on the project, I would usually I have notes from the night before from like a rehearsal. Usually we'll get like notes or questions from notes from the director and then questions from, the actors. And then I'm trying to think one of the shows where I had to like do research like Jesse Owens and the Olympics. And so then I'm just like, I spend a lot of time like looking up that time period, researching that time period, researching how people were treated, like the economics of that time, and then like the social temperature of those times. Sometimes it's just like finding out how something was built or what it would look like, because the play was like set on a boat and on like a boat when they were like traveling. And so then it was like figuring out what that type of stuff would look like. For me, I love a Harold Washington Library. I like old stuff. Like I'm not always online, but I love going to Harold Washington Library and pulling up like a lot of old books and like making copies and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. It's just like I do whatever research so I can answer all those questions that everybody needed for the rehearsal process. Yeah, and then I bring that stuff in and I'm like, is that good enough? Y'all got any other questions? Yeah, so that's what I do.
So I was thinking of intimacy segment, but it's very related to my career and movement design. It's telling the story, gesture, and body language. It's a lot of research, I think. It's also talking to the director. because the director has an understanding of, particularly when we talk about sexual intimacy, what do you see? How far is this going to go? These parameters like that. For this show, I had to do sort of make sure that I was historically accurate. So I talked to our associate dramaturg. I wanted to make sure that the dances that we were representing and sharing were done accurately in a culturally responsive way. And when we talked about intimacy with this cast, it was more about, is this within your spiritual boundary? I'm asking you to perform some West African rituals, and that might not be within your, intimacy is about vulnerability. And so to put things on the table so that they can say, oh yeah, no, I'm a Christian and I'm not feeling that. And those are the things that I addressed. And then I could also say it's being flexible and doable. That's almost in a place of service in a way, I'm finding. What do you need? What do you need? What do you need? And offering support and being available to shift. We had a youth cast for the show doing a youthful kiss, and we really wanted to be respectful of every little child's and their parents' comfort level. So that means I'm happy to redesign. I'm happy, excited to. So availability and preparedness. It means like no one's going to watch a dog or an attack.
Well, as a director on a regular daily basis, you know what you expect, what you intend for that day to look like when you walk into the room. And so, I got a general schedule. We're going to be doing this, we're going to work on that one day, on this day, sometimes I have to shift it around. But usually I just have intention for the day. We're going to get through Act 2, and then I want to run Act 2 off book, that kind of stuff. And if I, each day, I got that laid out. And so far, I'm right on schedule.
Great. I've been thinking about, your days at Columbia or whatever. Can you tell them something that you remember distinctly, like a favorite day or favorite thing that happened here at Columbia?
Well, I told them about the day they first asked me to come with. He said, Sheldon said, would you like to come here and teach us? I'm not a teacher. He says, no. I got this, oh, wow, okay. And I kind of figured, that could help me. At the time, I was not only doing a little directing stuff, I had a 9 to 5, and I'm thinking maybe if I could start teaching, I could have this 9 to 5. And that's exactly what happened. I was, after about 5 or 6 years here teaching, I was able to have my 9 to 5. My family thought I was nuts. I don't know, maybe some of you are going through that great, like AC's family.
Absolutely.
Yeah, But we're from another generation.
Yeah.
And this was not happening, especially for black people. 40 years ago, 30 years ago. This was not something that our families understood. When I left my job, first thing, telephones ringing all over the country. My family. No, what are you doing? And finally, maybe 10 years later, they finally got it. Actually, I didn't really get a stamp of approval on my career as a theater artist until I got a job at the Goodman. They knew the Goodman. Oh, you working at the Goodman? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But before that, it's like, what is he doing? What is he really doing? Is he all right? So, yeah, it's again, everybody's path is different.
And now they're my biggest fans, my family.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They have to do tickets for their friends and family, and their friends and family, and their friends and family. My niece and nephews weren't even born yet, and they're paying $500 tickets, alumni. Sheldon continued.
Yeah, Sheldon.
Well, there was a handful of us that he took under his wing and just guided us, and protecting us, always, put us out there. And Bradshaw being one of them, we did almost every main stage show, every studio show. If they didn't conflict with one another, we were in that show. Like I said, as far as the Paul goes, they weren't allowed to do a main stage show or a studio show as a student until their senior year or something like that. We were doing it as freshmen on the main stage in the studio. And Sheldon had us in every show, in every studio show, and just teaching us acting and comedy and improv and all of that. And he used to put us in Second City with Joyce Stone, I think as students. We had shows there, showcase shows. So all of that is fantastic. Sheldon got it. That's my mentor. Told me everything.
Man, I don't know, I have so many moments. I think, I guess my favorite, honestly, I ain't sucking up, Chuck, I promise.
Well, if Sheldon was here, I'd be doing the same thing. That's how it was.
It was my favorite memory was taking the African American Styles class because it really changed so much for me. And I remember one of the things Chuck had us do was we had to do our monologues, and then we had to do them in a dialect that was specific to Black people. And I never thought about that because, as Black students, they will have us learning, Irish, European dialects, stuff we will never use when we graduate. And but it never dawned on me that I might need to speak like my people, like Caribbean or African. And so we had to do the dialects, and I just remember the time I spent learning about how my people sound all across the diaspora. And that was something that I took with me. I didn't just learn the two. I forgot which one. I think I had my girl was hood, she was from where my cousins were from. So I was oh, I get to play with this dialect. And then I did an West African dialect, and which eventually helped me when we did Objects in the Mirror, because I was like, oh, thank God I had some foundations for that in my pocket. But then it also made me realize that how we sound is so important to who our characters are. You can't sound
The believability.
Yeah, the believability and authenticity of it. The way you talk tells us about where you come from. And if you don't sound like you come from there, people aren't going to believe that character. I don't care how good the rest of your acting is.
And if the audience don't believe you might as well leave the stage. Just walk away. You can't Krystal. Seriously. Short of them throwing tomatoes at you. You can't lose that. Don't have them. No, they have to lose you.
All these plays are set, this one in particular is set in 1911.
Yeah, this was
And so there are different dialects being used in this play. It's a different time.
And, in Pittsburgh at the time of the play, Black people were coming up. They were the migrants of the northern cities. What we're experiencing now with migrants from South America, the big cities were experiencing with Black people coming up from the South. And but they some of them aren't all that pleased, Black people aren't pleased with these other Black people coming out here. And that's in the play. And so it's really sort of oh, okay, the same stuff is happening today. But it's a different group.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very timely, the play itself.
Yeah. Well, you're an August Wilson expert. We call you.
That's what they call me. But,
Yeah. Well, you studied that. You worked with.
I worked with them. I was fortunate enough in 1997. I did a production of Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. at the old Goodman Theater. Goodman Theater used to be located over on the lakefront at the Art Institute. And we did a production of Our Wage Black Bottom. And August Wilson came in for the very first preview. And he stuck around. Goodman has a nice long preview period, a week and a half. And he stuck around with me 10 days. Company policy show. And showed it set a box office record. So it was good. It was hot, you know. And, but for me, I always say, yeah, all that's good. Box office record, great show, and all that. Yeah. But I had August Wilson to myself for 10 days. I pick him up in the mornings, and we go someplace to eat breakfast, and we got to know each other. So that was the most. Well, now I look back, I think that was a great time.
Deeply significant, and considering all of the plays of this that you directed.
Yeah, I haven't done that. I haven't done the whole cycle. I produced the cycle. I've done 2 August Wilson. I curated 2 August Wilson festivals at the Goodman. One in 2007 and another one at when we did 2 train days in 2015. We had a whole citywide celebration of August Wilson. We read every play in the cycle somewhere in the city during the play, and that was a great time.
That was fantastic.
Yeah, because people would say, I've been to every one, I've been to all of them. I've been very, very proud to say that I've been to each one of these. I mean, we were all over the city, you know, and it was great.
And I've done all 10 things. Some of them several times over again. You know.
Oh yeah, they see stuff.
That's great. The connection between the Goodman and Columbia is pretty strong. A lot of alumni have come through there, gone through there. Many of you may dream of someday working at the Goodman or doing an internship there.
Are you guys active?
So they do have internships, and it's the largest, oldest nonprofit theater in Chicago.
One of the largest in the world.
What's it like what do you love about the Goodman? What is it about that?
Well, it's always the people, right? It's always the people. And I remember specifically when I went there, when I was working there as an understudy. This is in the 70, 71 season. Yeah, I'm old. I was doing a play called The Night Thoreau Spent in Jail. And Christopher Walken was the lead actor. And there was in the play there was a runaway slave girl. That's all we had those days. Runaway slaves. And I was understudy a guy named Ira Rogers, who hated the role. Hated it. Yeah, I get it, but hey man, I'm just a job, and I'm on the Goodman Theater, you know. And so he found every excuse not to play. And here I was. I had a ball. And Goodman has a wonderful tradition of a closing night party. And they have a real nice spread for everybody associated with the show. Closing nights, they do a good job and all that. And I felt so sad I was leaving. And I said to myself, one of these days I'm gonna work here and I'll be coming to the closing night party telling people goodbye. I'm gonna stay. And believe me, that first, when I got on board, I could not wait for the closing night. Yeah, it was a nice job. But I'm staying, I'm here. And I've been there ever since, you know. So, it's a great, it's always the people. It's always the people. If the people are cool, then it's a good job.
And it's a comfortable space to be in as well. It's one of the theaters that I've been in with the dressing room. You actually have a bed in the dressing room. So and I'm a napper, so. And your dressing room has a bed. You have people waiting on you, you know, hand and foot. I mean, whatever you need, they're there. Unlike other theaters, you have a bed, you know. argue and fight sometimes.
I think I'm coming from a props background, that's my Goodman experience, and there was an excellence. My August Wilson story was I had to get live chickens on stage for a production of Seven Guitars in the 90s, and that was my job. Chris couldn't do it, it was a question of whether it was legal or not. And so I was able to sort of put my head to it, and we got, about the South, Chicago has, public schools has an agricultural high school on Pulaski, they have cats everywhere. And I was able to make a relationship with them. Those kids did a project. They came down to look at me every other day to take care of the chickens with Darlene that show. But I remember thinking, like, to what end? Well, when will it stop? Like, how do chickens on stage? Had whatever was required to make an excellent show. They put it out there. That's what I think. That's one. That's just it.
Yeah, that really a mix of everything that everyone said. This is like the 5th show that I've worked on at the Goodman. But the previous 4 I was understudying, and I remember the other day I was like, there's, aside from the actual being on stage and performing, in terms of how I was treated, there's no difference. Your value, like the people there value, and it really is the people. Because they value you and your time, and they provide so much support for you. And when I say it's the people, it's down from like the artistic staff to even just the people who are like keeping up the dressing rooms and cleaning the restrooms. Like, you see the same people every time you go there, and you recognize each other, and it does feel like eventually it starts to feel, you get a sense of feeling like it's home.
You develop relationships.
Yeah.
Even the janitors, I mean, they're so cool.
Yeah. Like, hey, what you been doing?
Yeah.
Like, it's just like just everybody, everyone in that building, and also like going back. I was telling our line producer, Malkia Stampley, I was telling her last year where I was like, I love working here. As an understudy, and I don't know that I want to understudy anywhere else, just because I know that I know that you guys provide what I need. You're not going to like leave anybody behind, but also because the only theater company that I've worked with, especially the first time I understudied there was like 15, 16, that pays the cover actors the same amount that they pay the principal actors, which always doesn't happen, but that was a sign that they value your time, and just the relationships that you're just able, even with your castmates, like that green room. I love that green room.
And granted, if you get hired as an understudy or an actor, you got to come with the date. That comes with an unspoken that you're going to be professional, you're going to be ready, and you're going to give them what they're paying you to do. Now, their pay rate is high, and of course they pay others the same amount as they pay the covers, the leads, but still, you have to come with it and be prepared,
Yes.
and be ready, and deliver, even.
But it is illegal to kill chickens on stage.
Yeah, that was actually like what you said about like coming and being prepared. I was working on Joe Turner when I saw the cover cast. I was like, I'm fans of all of those people. Like, I'm fans of theirs. Like Anthony Irons and Kristen Ellis. Like, I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be able to work on the show with them and bounce ideas off of them. So it's like,
This is a great cast.
It is,
show.
yeah.
And the cover is very good as well.
Yeah.
Professional actors, yeah.
How important would you say it is for them at this time in their lives to be going out to theaters and seeing things and watching it work?
It's invaluable.
Because you see what's going on and what they're looking for, and who's being cast, and what, the type of people that are being cast, and what can you bring to it in your style. A lot of people be comedians or serious actors, melodramatic actors.
But Chicago's got it's such a wide spread. You can, whatever your taste is, it's here. And, I'm born and raised in Chicago, so yeah, I'm going to Chicago. But, those of you outside, stick around, you know, after you, and you can, one of the things about Chicago that doesn't apply everywhere, you can fall flat on your face here, get up, and go again. You go outside of Chicago, you mess up one time, you get yourself in a band show or next thing, that's it. Your career is pretty much kind of in a downward path. In Chicago, you can mess up, things go wrong, you can straighten it out and move on.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know, I think it's just the nature of the city.
Forgetting,
Yeah,
short memories.
short memories, but you don't want to make a habit of it. But,
You're right.
you can't get up. I've seen many actors, really goof up bad, and then next thing you know, after that, they're good.
Yeah.
I want to give you a chance to come back to the day in the life of an actor.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Process.
Well, it's not that difficult. I mean, I listen to my director and the notes that he gives me, I go home and try to think about what he said and how can I make it different or incorporate what he said when I get back to rehearsal the next day. My children are grown, so I don't have none of that to deal with, So my whole thing is about the acting for me, Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, so I have time to really concentrate and try to do what I need to do. Yeah. Besides sleep, we need sleep sometimes.
What Krystal brings up really an important part is that you all have lives.
Yeah.
And your lives are different from the person's next to your life, your home life. And that's always important. You gotta make sure that's cool, and then move on down the road.
Yeah. Because years ago, I was asked to move to New York, and they promised me I'd have to work in every 5 minutes, And me and this other guy, Wendell Phillips, if you guys know him, he's working in every show. But my children were small, and I couldn't, because I didn't have the support to do that. So your family comes first, and I had to do that. Now they're grown, I can do it, but they need stuff. That's one opportunity that I had. And the other actor was with me at the time, is working in every show that I turn over and he's on that show. That could have been me. So your family did what you like. Comes first. What's more important to you?
So I've asked a lot of questions. I would imagine that you all have some questions too. Is that right?
And there are no stupid questions, by the way.
Yes.
There's no
There are
dumb
not.
questions or stupid questions.
Exactly. So we have one in front.
Hello, it's nice to meet you all. I'm Joshua, I'm a sophomore acting major. I'm glad that you mentioned there's no stupid questions. I'm gonna push you a little bit, but I'm gonna say it. I guess as a ambitious black creative, what advice do you have for a young black filmmaker who wants to do a generational work? And he's very ambitious about what he wants to do, but also is like depriving themselves of like, I don't know, say for example, like I'm going to grad school, like I'm not with the family, like other students, like what advice do you have for that? Like what were you doing at like 20 and like how did you motivate yourself to do it? Like keep going, it's kind of hard to put it together, but just keep going and go on with life, but also be very ambitious with what you do with like
Y'all know who the Astor Gates is? The Astor Gates used to live in my basement. I bought a Goodman job on $2,000, and it enabled me so much financial security. I'm a black person. I love living with other black people. All kinds of neighborhoods all over the south side of Chicago where you can afford to buy these property. So that stabilized me. It allowed me to go back to that was a very good choice I made at 25. And I was able to put other theater artists, like Tiffany at the University of Michigan, she was a tenant of mine, at Ireland, at the Jazz Institute, she was a tenant of mine. It was almost like a collective. And then I watched the Astor Gates buy all of the property in Woodlawn and do the same thing. So I think that's something to consider, community and making stability in your life so that you can take risks.
I also lived in basements.
To get the money to buy the property.
I mean, I'm broke a lot, so you might not want to listen to me.
Next question? Yes.
You especially, Chuck, because you have worked with August Wilson, but all of you talk a little bit about August Wilson's work, specifically this play. We certainly want to encourage everybody here to go see the show. There are student discounts, so can you just talk a little bit about the play and Mr. Wilson's work?
Yeah, the Goodman Theater was the very first theater. For those of you who don't know, August Wilson has a cycle of plays. He wrote a black play taking place each decade of the 20th century, and it's called the August Wilson 20th Century Cycle. Now, when he started out plays in the late 70s, early 80s, he didn't like say, "I'm going to do this is what." But after about five plays, he realized what he had. He said, "Oh, wait a minute, maybe I can do it." Anyway, he decided to do the cycle, write a cycle. And the Goodman Theater was the very first theater in the world to produce all 10 of the plays. The Goodman met August Wilson and his entourage in 1986 for the production of Fences. Fences had been done at Yale, and I think at the Huntington Theater in Boston. It was slated to go to Broadway, but it was just sitting there waiting for the theater on Broadway when their producer, Ben Mordecai, talked to Rock Schofer, our still secretary. He's getting ready to retire. But if they could bring Fences to the Goodman. They brought Fences to the Goodman, and that started the relationship between August Wilson and the Goodman Theater. From that point on, the Goodman Theater was always one of the stops of regional theater houses where August Wilson would develop his works. He would start at Yale, then with Lloyd Richards, who was in charge of the theater department at Yale, and also in charge of the professional company that they had there. And then they would start their little truck around the regional houses all over the country until it was in shape to go to Broadway. Goodman was always one of the stops. Goodman did produce 2 of the world premiere productions of August Wilson's cycle. We did 7 guitars with the Chickens. And we did the world premiere of Jim of the Ocean. I was the dramaturg of Jim of the Ocean production. And out of that 10 plays that we did at the Goodman, I only directed one of those plays in that cycle. And that was My Way to My Bottom. I told you about that experience. Now I've directed 2 others at the Goodman, 2 Trains Running, which is a show I did here at Columbia College. Right before I left, I did a production of 2 Trains Running, and which sort of prepped me to do the show at the Goodman. And then I did a production of my own a couple of years ago of Jim the Ocean. And while doing Jim the Ocean, which is the beginning of the cycle, it takes place in 1904. A lot of people came to me and said, hey Chuck, you going to do them in order? You going to do them in order? And it wasn't my idea, it was the people, you know. And I said, hey, that's a pretty good idea. Why don't we do them in order? So I approached the powers that be over there, and I said, hey, let's do the cycle in order. And so that's what we're doing. Joe Trevor's Come and Gone is the next play in the cycle. It takes place in 1911. And it's about, all of these plays take place in Pittsburgh, except one. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom takes place here in Chicago. That's the only one. Ma Rainey will be the next one we do after we do Joe Turner. Now, Joe Turner is about, as I mentioned, migrants. A boarding house is This gentleman, Seth Holly, runs a boarding house, him and his wife. He inherited from his dad. And he takes a real good care of this place. This place is a really good place to stay. And people are coming up from the south and staying in his boarding house. And this is what the place is about. It's a mixture of people who happen to be in the boarding house at this time. One of them happens to be this guy here, named Harold Loomis, who comes with his daughter. And he's looking for his wife. He lost his wife. The story is he got yanked off the road and put on a chain, literally put on a chain gang for 7 years. And when he went back home, his wife was gone. His wife had left their daughter with her mother and came north. He got off the chain gang, which is called the Joe Turner gang, Joe Turner gang, so to speak. And he got his daughter and went searching for his wife and the girl's mother. On the boarding house guy does not particularly like him because he's unkept. He's one of those. But that's as much as I want to tell you.
That's a good play.
You'll see. That's the, and it's, each cycle, each one of these places, they're standalone. For those of you who know, they're all standalone places. It's not like you got to know this one in order to make sense out of this one. They're all great places. You can grab one, do it, and it'll work if you do it.
Is it true Denzel's going to try to make all of them as one?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. That's in the works. August wasn't, at the time when he was alive, he died in 2005. He wasn't all that particular about his stuff being in the movies. But, his wife, Krystal, has got this thing, she's kind of, I don't think it's going to diminish the value of the stage. I don't think so.
Consideration.
The no stage is much more powerful than TV live.
I also think that the August Wilson cycle, and this is my educator hat, it is a real palatable, emotional, real introduction to the history of Black people in America in a way that clearly we haven't been getting history books. But if you read about the condemnation of blackness back with Ron Hammett or Michelle Wallace's work, like this might not take you there, right, to a greater understanding.
Question? Yes.
Hi, my name is Joe. Actually,
Could you use your actor voice?
going into this field, sometimes our passion isn't really going to pay the bills or put food on the table. So when you're in those moments, what's something that kind of keeps you motivated and keeps you getting out there and looking for jobs?
I would say the community itself, the theater community itself. You might not get as much support from your family community, but if you know people in the field, or if you find, I'm a person who loves sitting in the theater watching plays. I really like watching plays. So with me, going to the theater and seeing people I know on stage or just working box office, wherever, in the theater, that kind of keeps those juices going. Stay in touch with the field. That's why I say, if whatever it is that you're being trained to do or thinking about doing in this business, do that. Learn something else. Hopefully something else that's connected, that'll keep you in the field. If you're an actor and you know how to sew, nothing wrong with knowing how to design costumes. Nothing wrong with that. Or if you're a good carpenter, there's nothing wrong with knowing how to build sets.
Because in my day, it was, telemarketing was really big in the 80s. And that's what most of the actors here was doing, telemarketing between going to school here and acting. We would do telemarketing. They kept your voice strong and sharp and your improv skills tight because you're little people. You know, and it worked, but you can't do telemarketing too much, not to hang up. You know. But then it was big and you got paid and, you know, kept you sharp.
Radio commercials, all good stuff, you know.
There's also like, never stop learning, so I still take classes. When I'm having, like, there's a lull, I'll go and take a class. And yeah, because it helps build community. You then meet new actors who, you know, may have like graduated before you or after you. And yeah, just like keep, you know, sharpening those tools. During the pandemic, there was, we obviously couldn't get on stage, and then I was like, I need to do something. And so me and a couple of friends, we just got together on Zoom and we did our own little like actor meetup every week where we would just go over scenes and we would just like talk about them and talk about the choices that we made and just give each other feedback. Sometimes we would look over old self-tapes that the other person did and then just like give each other feedback on that. So just like, yeah, really building a community, finding those like people, and going out, exactly everything that Chuck said, really going out to see shows, doing readings, you know, like, but then all of that comes with making sure your name is good, like making sure you have a good reputation.
Being nice to people.
Yeah, being
You
nice.
never know who you're talking to.
Yeah,
You don't have
kindness
to be
goes a long
aged
way,
well.
yeah.
You gotta be nice. You don't know who you're talking to. It be the biggest agent in the world, and you don't know who it is.
Yeah.
But you know, you don't have to be alone. Form communities.
Oh, yeah.
Form communities, you know, get your friends together and just talk, your theater friends. Just talk theater on a regular basis. You know, things are happening. You know.
I can't say enough for me personally about how motivating it's been to always have one foot in arts education. And whether it was because I understood how it meant for me as a dancer, as a Black dancer, I was able to put language together that the Fry Foundation and Joffrey Ballet loved the way I was able to articulate my own passion for the art form that they could turn into grants. So whether it's being a teaching artist, then you're sharing your gift, you're sharing your craft. I sometimes think I learned a lot about directing just doing children's theater because the skills are very similar, right? The little people, they need to project their voice and they need to get.
Okay, a couple questions, I see.
I was curious, David. I know a few of you mentioned kind of being interdisciplinary artists, and I'm curious, especially in terms of how, as you kind of found your nooks and crannies within the industry, then what kind of, let me think how to phrase this, what allowed you to have the chance then to jump into different kind of disciplines? What do you think was allowed you to kind of people to take a chance on you to you know, oh, okay, let's, you know, sure, you can try directing or this or that. That makes sense. I can try to rephrase.
I know, I really hear you, and I think for me, my career shifted once to Joffrey. Once I could say, I'm the such and such for Joffrey Ballet, that was an endorsement. But that came from doing the work.
Yeah.
Sort of like what prepared you to be able to move?
Well, again, I think, again, being around, being in the right place, being in places different. My career sort of like started off as acting, and I go from acting stage manager, and then stage manager, director, and then director, you know. But there was a time I could go all any one of these. Now acting is out of the question anymore. But stage manager, I don't want to stage manage, you know. And I would feel comfortable stage managing. And those who know no, I would, okay, be okay with stage right. And, but I've been directing for so long now. But it's, you know, just having, again, you gotta have more than one tool in your box. You got it. And don't be afraid to use either one of them, you know. If the wrench don't work, pick up something else. Make it work.
You got a question?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Gabriela. I'm an active major as well. A couple of years ago for a class, I read the entire 10-play cycle of Goodman. And as you're now participating and directing this play and playing the Goodman Theater, I just wanted to ask which one of the 10 plays is your favorite?
It's the one you're working on. That's the real deal.
Good, good. Love it.
Hi, my name is Emily. I'm an acting major, and I wanted to ask you, what are some tips and tactics that you have utilized to analyze the shift in, I guess, analyze change within the theater community and just theater in general?
That's a hard one. Because I've been a part of the change, and I'm still not, I can't say that I'm completely used to, well, first thing you gotta know, it's always changing. It's always changing. There's always gonna be new rules about how you can do things. Like, one of the things we're gonna be working on today,
And she was over here. What are we working on today?
yeah. Just anybody can ask me, hey, can we, why don't you do this instead of that? And I got to figure out how, she's the artistic director, so I have to try and make what she wants work. So I have to look at the rule book and make sure that I can do that, you know, within the rules. But it's always changing. Now, you wouldn't really want it any other way. Otherwise, it's going to get stagnant. So just be open to change. Know that, yeah, okay, sometimes I'm going to have to use my left hand instead of my right. You got to just accept it that this is a changing industry, and it's going to be that way all through your career. Now, it took me a while to learn that. Like, once upon a time, I had no reason for a dramaturg in my room. Lo and behold, I turned into a dramaturg for Jimmy Elshie. You see what I mean? So it's going to happen. Just open your mind and let it go. I don't have the key to what you're asking. All I can say to you is just open your mind and let it go. It's going to change is another. It's going to happen.
And things have changed. Yeah, I mean, the Goodman looks entirely different to me, wanting to be an intern there, wanting to be a scene shop. I think that your technical director is a woman. And I think that intimacy, I went into intimacy, seeing it as a real need, as a real recognition of cultures and things to shift. So I think it's about being ready.
Columbia College has changed. This place is totally different.
Totally different. I don't recognize it.
What's like what I was
Look, nothing like this one. Yeah, nothing. The stairway, I saw the girl in the stairway, that's the same thing. That's the only thing that's really in the
I saw Wendy Webber in the elevator. I said, somebody, at least something to say.
So it's just past 12. I want to be respectful of time. And I just want to thank you all for being here. It's been a wonderful discussion. A.C. Smith, McNeil, Cristin Carole, and Chuck Smith.
Really track who might want to work at Goodman or might want to work with Chuck Smith. What do they do? How do they get?
When you get on the show, let us know.
So let the Goodman know.
Yeah, yeah.